Hello and welcome back to another lesson from Soflex Math. We're going to be working on our third way to solve multiplication problems, this time using the area model. Previously, we've used the standard algorithm. Secondly, we've done the lattice method. And now our third way in this lesson is going to be something called the area model. And if you haven't got to area yet in your geometry unit, that simply means you're finding the length times width to find the area, or how many square units can fit inside of a shape. So for this method, we're going to draw some rectangles to represent our number, and then we're going to use those powers of zero as an easy way to solve these. So hopefully as we go through this, all of these are going to be multiplication facts or mental math problems. So over on the left, to begin, we have the number 34 times 8. So we are going to set up our problem here by drawing, as you can see here, a rectangle. And kind of like the lattice way, we're going to draw 30 and 4 to represent the tens, 30, and the ones column, 4. And the other thing I'd like you to do is, when you're drawing this, don't just make lines anywhere. We want the 30 to be a bigger section visually than the 4. So the 4 is a very small section. So 30 is a bigger number than 4, so we're going to draw that part of the rectangle a lot bigger. All right, and then going down, we just have 8, so we're just going to have one line going down to represent 8. Okay, now we're going to walk through how to actually solve it using this area model. Okay, so we're going to work on our multiplication facts. So we're going to start over here, so where we have the 8, and we're just going to kind of do this like multiplying chart, kind of like we did with the lattice way. So 8 times 4 is 32. Okay, so we're going to put that answer in that rectangle, or that section, so 32. All right, then we're going to do our next part, 8 times 30, or 8 times 3, which is 24. And then remember, if we have 1 0 in this answer from our powers of 10, we can put one answer here in our answer. So far we have 240 and 32. So what we're going to do is each one of our rectangles, or each one of our sections in here, we're going to add together. So I'm going to add 240 plus 32. This one's pretty easy, so I'm just going to do it mentally in my head. So we're going to come up with an answer of 272. So 34 times 8, that answer is 272. All right, we're going to practice a few more where we have different amounts of digits for the top number and the bottom number. So maybe a 3 by a 1 or a 2 by a 2, just to see how these area model pictures are set up. But all of your multiplication is going to be mental math. It's going to be like single digits and adding zeros. So hopefully this is another quick, easy method besides the standard algorithm. So let's take a look at another example. All right, for this example, you can see we now have a 3-digit number, so 264 times 3. So this time our biggest rectangle is going to represent 200, or the hundreds place value. Our next biggest section is going to be 60 for the tens, and then our final one will be the 4 for the ones. We only have a single digit at the bottom right now, so that's why we only have one line going down, or the 3s. All right, so same way, we're going to multiply each part. So 3 times 4, mental math, we should get 12. Next one, 3 times 6 should be 18. And we have 1 0, so we're going to add 1 0. And then we have 3 times 2, which is 6, and we have 2 zeros. Okay, so this section is 600, this section is 180, this section is 12. So this time I'll write it out for you. We're going to add all three of our values inside our rectangles together. So 600 plus 180 plus 12. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and add 2, 9, and 7. So our answer to 264 times 3 is 792. Okay, so take a look for a moment before we go to our next problem and just kind of see if you have any questions about where the 12, the 180, or the 600 came from. And now we'll try one that has some double digits. All right, so our third example here, we have two digits, a double digits at the top, 56, times a double digit second number, 12. So 56 times 12. So we're going to break it down by place value. So we have a 50 for the tens, 6 for the ones, 56. 50 is bigger than 6, so it has the bigger rectangle section. Now we're going to have two numbers going down because we have 12. So we have a 10 for the tens column, the 1 in the tens, and then 2. So notice how that equals 12 if you were to add that down. Notice how this equals 56 if you were to add it across. So there's our numbers, 56 and 12. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We just have 4 boxes now on the inside that we need to fill up. So we're going to match it up kind of like a multiplication chart. So first we'll do 10 times 6, okay, which will be 60. And then we're going to do 10 times 50, or 1 times 5, plus 2 zeros, 500. Okay, now we're going to kind of go to the bottom row. So now we have 2 times 6, once again, mental math, 12, and then 2 times 5, which is 10. And remember, we have one more 0 there, so we'll add another 0 there. Okay, and now we have 4 numbers to add together. Now, when I do some of these, I like to just kind of work in some mental math as well, because you can do 500 plus 100 in your head. So we have 500, 600, 660, 670, and 2. So your final answer will be 672. So kind of see how we have 2 rows. So the 10 gets multiplied by the top for the first row, and then the 2 gets multiplied by the top row for the second row. And then you add all 4 of those together. So any numbers you get inside the boxes, no matter how many big numbers you use, you're always going to add up whatever's on the inside. So once again, take a look at how you drew your rectangle for this one, and then also take a look at how we added those answers together and how we got those multiplication answers. Okay, and our final example for this lesson is a 3-digit, so 214, 3 digits across the top by a 2. So that's the biggest we'll have to know for 5th grade is a 3 by 2. So once again, we're breaking it up into place values. Or think about expanded form. If I asked you to write 214 in expanded form, you'd write 200 plus 10 plus 4. So that's where we came up with our 200 plus 10 plus 4. Our 36 down here, 30 plus 6. 30 plus 6. So that's where those numbers came from, once again. And then we're going to work on our multiplication facts. So if you want to pause the video for a moment, I'll give you a chance to do that and try to solve this one. And then you can follow along with what you've done here in a moment. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and solve this for you. So our first problem, I'm going to start down here. So 6 times 4, so that one's going to be a total of 24. All right, 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 2 zeros. So when I say 6 times 2, it's really 6 times 200, but I'm just showing you where those zeros came from. Now we'll go to the top row. This time our tens is over here. So 3 times 4 is 12 plus a 0, so that's 120. 3 times 1 is 3, and this time we have 2 zeros. 1 from the 10, 1 from the 30. And then 3 times 2, 6. And this time we have 1, 2, 3 zeros, so that's going to be 6,000. All right. So once again, now we're going to add mentally, and then what we can't do mentally, we'll do with actual adding. So I'm going to add the first 2 columns here, the 6,000 and the 1,200 together, because I can pretty much easily do that to get 7,200. And if you want, you can make little check marks. So I've used those 2 already. All right, 360 is obviously 360, so I'll make that in the second row. Same way, if I want to just put little check marks, I just do that to make sure I haven't added something twice, because otherwise I might, did I use this 60 yet? And then you add it twice, and then you get a wrong answer. Okay, 120 and 24, so I can do that in my head and get 144. So the reason I combine those in mental math is because now we just have 3 numbers to add together, otherwise we'd have 6. So I'm going to check those off as well. just to say, oh look, we got all 6 taken care of. All right, first column pretty easy. 4 and 0, 0 is going to be a 4. 6 plus 4 is 10, so we're going to go ahead and carry. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. So our final answer for 214 times 36 would be 7,704. So once again, take a minute to check that answer with what you maybe did. If you have a different answer, kind of see if your answers were different, inside the yellow box here. If you had all those answers correct, then maybe you made an addition problem error. So you'll want to see if your error was in addition or if your error was with the multiplying. One of the most common errors with the multiplying is just leaving out a 0 somewhere. So especially when we're multiplying by like tens, sometimes people write that as 30 instead of 300, for example. So just kind of check and see if you got it. Hopefully you did. And once again, we have some practice problems and answers after this. And this is called the area model. So if you like this one, this will be a great one to use. But remember, you have the lattice way and the standard one. And then our next lesson is going to be something called the cluster model. So we're going to work on that one next. Once again, thank you for watching Soflex Math, and leave a question in the comments if you have any.